genetically challenged. But as a woman, I can tell you, if you cannot raise your hands, then you just got to raise your gunners. My humble greetings to the Office of the Minister of Health, the Office of the MEC of Health, Program Director, SAMA National, SAMA KZN and its members, and our distinguished guests sitting here, all protocols observed. As we stand on the precipice of a rainbow nation, either falling into a cloud of peace or a valley of violence, we need to understand and define our existence within our own context. To attain peaceful processes, does one need to be a humanitarian? Every doctor within this room can be regarded as a humanitarian, as they are the guardian of the sick. Regardless of a few blemishes on the face of the medical fraternity, which occurs in most other professions, one cannot dispute that the doctor is still respected as the caretaker of both life and death within its medical context. But who then is the custodian of a debilitating society, which is becoming malignantly infectious with a contagious disease of malevolent thoughts and perceptions, disrupting the external environment we live within? This very indisposed environment impacts on the individual's internal environment. When this occurs, inner peace, which is important as a holistic functioning of the individual, is obliterated. Numerous factors affect peaceful processes. The demographics of a country are evident by its socio-economic and psychosocial factors, which generate divisions within race, religion, and ethnic communities. There exists a strong association between violence, poverty, and unemployment, with an increase in the incidence of women and child rape and abuse. Traumatic flashback memories of toddlers being raped and murdered last month in deep sweat serve as evidence for a deep abyss of darkness into which our very society is free falling. Education is a powerful tool wherein important subjects such as math and science are taught at schools to equip learners in terms of their careers and future. However, how then do we equate this education to the escalating violence and crime? Over and above the basic education a child receives, what is more imperative is moral education. The powers that be strongly need to consider the introduction of peace and moral education into primary schools. By targeting the grassroots levels, it will ensure that our children become complete, functioning individuals of good standing within society. But even then, some children still walk for miles without any shoes, crossing dangerous rivers and freeways to schools which are inaccessible at times, just to fulfill their dreams of an improved quality of life. That too, they attend school without lunch and without having a proper meal at home, or no meal at all. How then can children attain food for thought if they do not have food within their stomachs? The poverty head count of South Africa as per Stats SA is 56.8%, with a Gini coefficient of 0.7%. There does need to then exist there's a dire need for self-sustainable communities. However, children need to attend schools and not work in order to uplift themselves. Having reiterated the above, a national food policy for all primary school learners is critical for improved healthcare and education, the need being predominant in the rural and disadvantaged communities. A basic nutritional food package of 2 meals per day within schools will allow children to focus on their educational priorities. If children are our future, then there is no greater way to invest in the future than to invest in our children. Moving on, a country's stewardship has the greatest challenge of accountability and responsibility for good governance, equity, and democratic rights of every single citizen. South Africa must recognize its own talent and skills within. South Africa must create South African solutions for South African problems by South Africans. We need to take ownership of our own programs. We are emerging from a deeply wounded past, which has affected every single citizen, some in more than one ways than the other. The emotional scarring far exceeding the physical ones. However, in order for our inner and outer peace to be attained, we must heal ourselves and heal our society and move forwards and onwards together as one. If we do not act now, many generations to come will pay the price for our ignorance, our hate, our pride, and our ego. The actions we embark upon now will determine if our country will metamorphose into a rainbow land of a democratic and free society for every single citizen, regardless of race, religion, gender, tribe, and caste. So peace is strength and must be nurtured for inner peace and a positive environment to flourish. I will conclude with a poem that I had written in matric for grade 12, just as we left the dark areas around between 1991 to 1994. This poem was one of my dreams I had written in the night by candle. I want to close my eyes to a world I saw before. I want to close my eyes to the darkness at the door. I must try, I must see, I must face this fear deep within me. I can't give up, I must stand tall. There is just one goal, and that is peace for all. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.